See, I was just talking my head off, and then I turned on the camera and I'm just like, so, what do I say? Hi YouTube, long time no see. I just finished The Raven Boys this morning, and so let's start talking about this. Like I said last vlog, I said I didn't understand why it was so big because I thought that nothing happened in this book, and I gotta admit, I was right. 300 pages of nothing happening, and then like the last 30 pages, everything happens all at once. The amount of nothing happening to everything happening proportion is ridiculous. Raven Boys is a very character-driven story, which I like. Like, I love character-driven stories. I love figuring out who characters are, and it's interesting now that I know who these characters are and I have an attachment to them to kind of go back to the beginning and see how their relationships were before. But that makes for very slow reading because there's not a lot of driving force. It's not bad writing, it's just low stakes. But that being said, I did rekindle my love for these characters in a way that, like, I don't know if I would have had if I had just gone straight for the fourth book. So first of all, I didn't realize that this was the book that had like the most iconic line ever. Gansey is telling everyone, I'm going to need everyone to be straight with each other from now on. No more games. This isn't just for Blue either, all of us. Ronan said, I'm always straight. Adam replied, oh man, that's the biggest lie you've ever told. Iconic. If anything lives on from the Raven cycle, it's gonna be that exchange. I love that Blue hates Gansey. I think it's amazing. So I listened to it on audiobook basically just because one of my friends had it on audiobook and I had heard about it online. I didn't know anything about it, so I just started listening to it, and then in the first prologue it's talking about like, oh, Blue was always told that if she kissed her true love he would die, and now she's gonna meet her true love, and I was like, this sounds awful. It kind of sounded like the way that everyone describes generic YA novels, and I was not enthusiastic about it. I really like when people start out antagonistic before, you know, becoming friends, and then they fall in love, you know? I really like that. And I really like the way that it plays out in this book. Not only does she not fall for this person immediately, she dislikes them. And not only does she not fall for this person immediately, she doesn't fall in love with this person by the end of the book. I really like how slow going their friendship was. But I love how Blue would just see like little bits and pieces of Gansey and try to fit it together. Here are all of these other things that I don't know how to put together with who this person is. And I love that Gansey, he's definitely smitten with her, but from his point of view, it doesn't talk about her necessarily like a romantic partner, more just like he wants to impress her, and he likes this sort of clever back and forth they have. I just really enjoy when someone comes from two fundamentally different points of view and then slowly understand that the other person's point of view is valid even though it's different. They have this sort of genuine connection that comes from really seeing who the other person is and recognizing that just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. She meets Gansey and she doesn't know who he is. She's just like, I hate this guy. And then she finds out who he is later. She didn't have any of that immediate like, oh, I regret my previous actions because this person is an important person. She felt exactly the same about him. There was a line where she was like, she'd been wondering all this time what she could do to stop Gansey from dying, and it turns out that she's gonna strangle him. Just being like, I don't like this guy, he's the worst, and this is why. Gansey was the worst. Like, I like that it made sense from her point of view that he was being like a douchebag. He just took it in stride, kind of. He was just like, I say bad things sometimes. I don't know what to do about it. That's a recurring thing in the book, actually. Gansey talking about how when he speaks, he's very much speaking from a place of privilege. And when other people are like, that's not a thing that you're supposed to say to people, or that's not how normal people think, he's just like, oh shit, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to, distance myself as much as I possibly can from my rich family and my rich life. He does everything to seem like not one of the rich kids, but he fails. I love the vulnerability of Gansey. I feel like he opens up easier than all of the other characters. He just feels things so much. He just wants to get it out. I'm so sad, or I'm so passionate, or I'm so angry, and he just has it all out there. And I really like that. There was a part in the last 100 pages when things actually start happening. Welk is the, some sort of antagonist, and he's killed Noah, and everything bad is happening. And Mora or Kala or somebody asked Gansey, like, what would you like to do? He was like, well, I would like to find Glendower. I would like to hang out with my friends. I would like for this to be, perfect. And they're like, you can't just ignore this thing that's happening. And he was like, I didn't say I was going to ignore it. I just said that's what I would like. And that is just the most heartbreaking thing, and like so understandable. I feel that all of the time. Every time there's some sort of backlash or a conflict or something that like you can't control, you're just like, I don't want this to be happening. I just want this thing. I just want this goal. Everything else is happening. I can't stop it from happening. I can't ignore it. But what I want doesn't change. If anything, it's stronger now. I really like that part. So I am a little confused about what kind of presence the dead have in this universe. Like at the beginning, we see Gansey walking through Corpse Road. He's walking and then he falls down on his knees. He has no body, and therefore it's a soundless gesture. Except that she says that the smell of mint follows him around. That seems weird. He doesn't have a body, like for sure, because he's like not there. But he has a smell, but he doesn't have a sound. Like I don't understand that kind of sensory where you don't have sound, but you have sight, and you have smell, but you don't have touch. And it happens later on too, because Noah loses, like when they move his body, he loses his presence. And she mentions that Noah has a smell too. Or actually, I don't even think that it's Blue saying that. Yeah, Adam says that he smelled Noah, that combination of his deodorant and soap and sweat. And it's just like, so Noah smells like deodorant and soap, and even though he like doesn't wash, obviously, because he's dead, and he smells like sweat even though he doesn't have a body because he's dead, but he does have a body because his bones are on the ley line, giving him energy to like give a corporeal form. But at this point he doesn't have a body. He's just sort of there in spirit form, but he still has a smell. And I just don't understand that. I just don't understand why you would have a smell. There's this theme, I guess you could call it, of getting what you want and hating it. Because at the very beginning, Blue sees Gansey, and it's the first time that she's ever seen Spirit. She had always wondered what it would be like to be like her family, but now seeing someone so young and knowing that they would be dead by the end of the year, and seeing how like helpless they were, she just hated it. She thought it was awful. That happens a couple other times where, because of, whatever happens with her and the boy, she's more around supernatural things, and sometimes it's amazing, like when they first go into Cabe's water, like that's great, but then other times it's just awful. I would argue that Welk has that 2. He's been waiting so long to get to the ley line and to wake it up and to be powerful or whatever. And then he finally gets there and nothing is right. And there are these kids there. His power is awoken by somebody else. And he tries to like get his revenge and it totally backfires on him. It's almost like be careful what you wish for, except that there are a lot of things that people wish for that aren't bad. Being envious, I think, is probably what is more demonized than it is be careful what you wish for. Because Gansey wants to be part of something supernatural. That's just one of his dreams, is to be part of something bigger than himself, to make a legacy like Glendower. But at least initially, Blue doesn't want that, you know, to have something just for the glory of having it. She wants it because the people around her have it. And then when she gets close to it, she learns about how tough it is and how hard it is to carry that around. Even her mom, there was a part where she talked about rituals and how her mom would say to Blue or to customers in a rage, in a huff, like, I am not a witch. But then when she's speaking quietly to Persephone, she's more like, I am not a witch. Even though it seems like she has so much more power than Blue does, it's still not quite enough to accomplish what she wants. She still feels that little bit of unfulfillment. There's Neve, who is a witch, apparently. Or I don't know what she is. She's really fucking weird. I don't know what's going on with her at all. And I can't remember if she does something in the later books. She's so fucking creepy. And how at the end, apparently they just like moved her mirrors and then she disappeared as if she wasn't actually there. That was creepy. I guess that's something I have to think about and hope they put together in the last book. I was just like, what the fuck happens to Neve? I don't really remember what happens to her in this book or in the other books. Like, she's so weird and I don't like her. And then she just fucking disappears. And it's like, okay, okay. There's a lot of talk about Gansey owning the other people. Blue figures out that the journal that was left at the pizza place belongs to Gansey. And she says the journal belonged to him. That meant Adam belonged to him. As if Adam is another one of the many things that rich people have. And Adam thinks that way too when he talks about how Gansey wants him to move in with him, and he's like, oh, so you could have all of your things in one place. And even in the next book, Kavinsky talks about Ronan as if he is just a thing of Gansey's. I don't know that I have something that I can put together with this, but that's just something that came up a lot. And maybe that's a Glendower parallel. His knights around him. If Gansey is the king, then all of these people are his. So this book ends on a cliffhanger, and if I hadn't like really loved the last 100 pages, I would have been like, this book is fucking weird. I'm never reading the rest of the series. Like, this is stupid. But I did. But the last fucking line is Ronan saying, I pulled chainsaw from my dreams, which I was like, what the fuck does that even supposed to mean? Like, what a stupid line to end your story on. I'm still mad. I'm still mad about it. It's not like a normal cliffhanger where you're just like, are they gonna get together? Are they gonna live or die? Or blah, 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 blah. It's just like, what the fuck does that even mean? But I am excited for the next book, which I will get from the library today, and hopefully I will read it faster than I read this one. The next book I think of as Ronan's book. I'm excited for Kavinsky and to meet some of the other Raven boys. I think that happens in that book. We meet like Henry Chang and a couple other people just to fill out the private school feeling. I'm really excited because it's from Ronan's point of view. I feel like a lot more happens because Ronan doesn't just kind of do the same thing every day. He doesn't just go to his mom's psychic readings or, you know, look in the forest for Glendower. He's like racing cars and pulling shit from his dreams, and I'm really excited to reread that and to look for clues like I never got to do with Harry Potter. You know, get back into this series. I'm really excited about what might happen in the last book. There were a couple moments of foreshadowing. Some were direct foreshadows and some were, I'm not sure, maybe foreshadows. For instance, I was so fucking surprised when in the last 30 pages of epicness, they're at Capeswater and Adam is talking about how he can see something in her eyes. It's a black mirrored lake. It was a voice as deep as the earth. It was two obsidian eyes. It was another world. And that black mirrored lake shows up in Blue Lily, Lily Blue. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, this makes no sense. Like, it's just like a creepy image here. And it's a creepy image in the other book too. But I was like, oh my God, that's a thing we actually see. Is Neve in the lake? I don't remember. I don't remember at all. That was super weird. Earlier, Gansey's talking about Glendower, and Adam says he was everything Gansey wished he could be. Wise and brave, sure of his path, touched by the supernatural, respected by all, survived by his legacy. And I'm just like, is that foreshadowing for how Gansey is going to become after he finds Glendower and he wakes him up? He's already been kind of touched by the supernatural. We really see how much the other Raven boys in Blue respect him. He is gonna die, said he will be survived by his legacy. Like, that's the one thing that I can be sure happens in The Raven King, is that we are talking about Gansey dying since book 1. I mean, I guess he's gonna die, and like maybe he comes back for some reason. I feel like he has to come back, if only because the others would be fucking a mess without him. They would be a wreck without Gansey. There is a moment. Declan is threatening to pull Ronan out of living with Gansey, and Adam thinks, then you've killed him. He couldn't imagine Ronan living under a roof without Gansey. And I was just like, well, he's gonna have to when Gansey dies next year. It's gonna be rough. I've already talked so much. I should just end this. But there's so much about this that I like. This has a lot of things that I like in YA. It has people making stupid decisions because they're teenagers. It has teenagers taking on a stupid amount of responsibility even though they're teenagers. Like, Mora lets her 16-year-old daughter go in this highly dangerous situation that she's like, you know, this is super serious and maybe dangerous, and she's just like, okay, and then she just goes. It has the juxtaposition of worrying about magic with worrying about your grades, which is one of the things that I love about reading teenagers. Like, that's why I read YA and I watch shows about teenagers. I really love this juxtaposition of the surreal and the normal. I really love how Gansey is worrying about Ronan passing his classes just as much as he's worrying about what they're gonna do with this magical place where time stops. And I love the language that Maggie Seafotter uses. One of the things that I pointed out was Mora sat on the end of Blue's bed looking as soft as a poem in the dim light. Like, what kind of beautiful language is that? Or that Ronan's smile is like war, or, you know, all those types of things that are almost supernatural, just like everything else, that are magical, just like everything else in this story. They make the simple things that people do, like sitting or smiling, seem otherworldly, and I really love that. So anyway, I will be reading the next book in the Raven cycle, and I will be back with another video in a frame of time that I cannot tell you. I hope you've had a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, YouTube!